Afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon for wherever you are joining from. This is what we call WeCollect webinar series. And this is one of a kind because for this particular edition, we are focusing on researchers, people that play within the research space, and literally like everyone that needs data. But a core part of the series today will just be focusing on how data can be used to enhance research and how that can be a trickle-down effect to affect policies, growth, and other things that are and that will eventually impact the growth of our community, of the government, and make people's life better. So I'm Orolua Adebayo. I'm the managing co-founder of WeCollect. WeCollect is a data collection tool that uses the combination of GIS and a distributed network of agents to collect data from anywhere within Africa. So I'm here today. I'm glad to be here, and I'm really, really excited that you guys were able to make our time to join. And I'm hoping that this particular chat would meet your expectation. And feel free to drop questions, comments, feedbacks in the Q&A bot of the webinar. So at any point, feel free to drop your questions. Somebody will be there to accommodate them, to consolidate them. Then somewhere within the presentation, we will allow people to speak, maybe to ask questions. If anyone is willing to take the mic, ask questions, we're willing for that. I'm hoping this would be a very engaging presentation. So feel free to me anywhere if you have any form of question, clarification, or whatnot. But in all essence, thank you for joining, and we're just going to go ahead. So this is just a brief outline of what we are going to be talking about today. And not to bore you with all of this, because we're still going to go into a lot of that. And also, this is a recorded session. So for some people that may not be able to make it to the end, the session will be recorded and will be posted on our YouTube page. So for further, maybe you need for further reviews, or if there's anything you didn't get during the presentation and you want to piggyback into, we would also make that available for you. So just a brief introduction to myself. I'm the team lead and managing co-founder of WeCollect. I've explained what WeCollect does, but just to touch base with a little bit of my background, I've been through a very nice journey, starting from my bachelor's in management information system, going to study GIS, a master's in technology in GIS, and also a master's of science in business analytics. And I used to, before I started WeCollect, I used to lead the zonal Southwest region in terms of data administration in National Population Commission, and this was specifically for the 2020 round of census. And also my contribution to that earned us an award, an ESRI Special Achievement in GIS Award in 2022 in the San Diego user conference. And yeah, so I think everything around my career and my journey has evolved around data collection, GIS and GIS analysis, data analysis, and field operations. And I think this cuts across Africa, different countries in Africa, and starting from Nigeria, basically. And I've gone through the ranks, starting from being a field enumerator to being a supervisor to leading a small project and taking on large-scale projects. So I think I believe I'm one of the best fit person to talk about data collection, especially in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, because I kind of cut across all the cadres of the journey. So let's go. Before we jump into it, I have a quick question exercise for us, and I'm hoping this will just take 5 minutes or 2 minutes, because we don't have time, because we want to be able to accommodate a lot of questions. So I have two two things on the screen, and if you're joining us, you're looking at the screen. This is more of a myth versus fact. So number one is rural households in Nigeria always know their exact monthly food spending. Is it a myth or a fact? And also number two is, in many Nigerian states, food prices for staple items change weekly. So what someone spent last month may be very different this month. So what is a myth? What is a fact? So you can go put it in the comment section, what you think is a myth, what you think is a fact. Is it number one, rural households in Nigeria always know their exact monthly food spending? Or number two, in many Nigerian states, food prices for staple items change weekly, so what someone spent last month may be very different from this month. So I'm expecting you guys to put it in the question, in the chat box, what you think your answer is. Just, you don't need nothing too fancy. Just put number one myth, or number two myth, or number one fact number. Just put it like that. I would be checking it out. Okay, I think everyone is saying number one is a myth and number two is a fact. We're just going to keep it open for another 2 minutes. Let's see. All right, looks like everyone says number two is a fact and number one is a myth. It's interesting. Let's see. One more minutes. Simon Swift says number two is a fact. Looks like everyone is yielding towards the same answer. Quite interesting. Everyone it's on the same lane. Interesting answer. Someone says number one is a myth, but number two depends on the political dispensation we're referring to. Well, I think for this question, we're talking about like right now, like we're talking of this particular situation where we are right now, 2020, and today, October 30th, 2025. Yeah. So if you think number two, based on the current situation of things right now, if you think number two is a fact, or number one is a myth, or number two is a myth, or whatever. All right, we're just going to go ahead, and I think everyone on the call has the same answer. So I would also agree with all of you that you are saying the same thing. Number one is a myth because of the change, the constant change in food prices across the country, and it goes beyond just even economic factors. It goes beyond stuff like agricultural or seasonal factors that affect food production, and I think that explains everything. Like especially the fact that food prices right now, because of the economic. I think number two is basically because of the economic factor. Number one, the reason why rural households will not know their exact monthly fund. Any household, both rural and urban, but I just put rural as a form of digression, but they won't know their exact monthly food spending because of the change in food prices. But one thing they can know for sure, they can kind of calculate how much they would spend at every period of the year. Maybe in rainy season, when some food items, the price of some food items drop, and they will be able to factor that in. On also in dry season, where some food items go up while others drop, that would also affect the food prices. But I think in terms of food prices changing weekly has to do with like inflation and economic factors that are affecting food production. And how do we know this? Is because when WeCollect launched in May of 2024, one of our pilot projects was to collect food prices across Nigeria, and we did that between May of 2024 and July of 2025. So we were going to market, farms, malls, grocery stores to capture food prices and just to look at the changes of food prices on a month-to-month basis. So let's go ahead. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for engaging with these questions. So one major question that I think would pop up, and I'm sure I don't want to going in depth into this because a good number of people on the call are researchers, people that are kind of familiar with using data. But I'm just going to try to give a bit of context to why data is actually important, because it may look like, oh, why do we really need data in the first place? Well, everyone that has done research in the past or plans to do research would agree with me that data is the heartbeat of any research. And especially in a country like Nigeria, there's no way we can be doing researches without data, because there's already a break in terms of data accessibility. There's already an issue with that. So you can now go on a research journey without actually relying on data. And just to further break that down, we have places that it impacts, because you can't make informed decision making without data. You can't actually make informed decisions without guiding them with data. We have understanding diversity, knowing that Africa is a very, very diverse continent, and the best way to understand how this diversity works and how it is distributed is by accessing data about different areas or different locations. How do you track progress and impact? We just talked about the changes in food prices. How do you even know that the price of tomatoes last month has changed compared to this month? And how can you even detect whether the price of tomatoes across different locations are still the same? You will need to keep collecting data to be able to do that. You want to attract investment, you're trying to pitch something to somebody, you need to be able to show data on why whatever you're pitching is best fits one, and also it is the best time to implement, because you have to be able to show data. And I think finally, fighting misinformation. We know that with the existence of artificial intelligence and social media, there can be a lot of misinformation that spreads fast because of the access to those kind of platforms. And if we don't have the right data or reliable data, it is kind of sure that we would always be fighting misinformation, we would always be misguided. And I think that's not something that we want to be, that will be good, especially when you're doing research. Now let's get to the problem. And I think if you don't agree with me, you can feel free to put a thumbs down that collecting data across multiple locations in Nigeria right now is hard. If you disagree, I'm just going to give you 1 minute. If you disagree, feel free to put a thumbs down. If you disagree that collecting data right now, if you say, oh, right now collecting data in Nigeria is easy, and you disagree with the current statement on the screen, feel free to put a thumbs down. 1 minute, I can't see anyone put a thumbs down. All right, looks like everyone agrees with me that collecting data across multiple locations in Nigeria right now is hard. So let's go ahead and let's talk about what the problems look like. Especially when you're carrying out a data collection exercise, especially for some of you that are familiar with that, you know that you are first of all faced with a challenge of multiple tools. You have a couple of tools that helps you through the entire life cycle of data collection, from the actual data collection to the validation of the data, to the reporting of the data, to even taking a look at the data, to even ensuring that whatever you're collecting is correct. You will end up using multiple tools, and all of this, when you are, and I think if you're familiar with data quality, once you start passing data from one tool to the other, it can mess up with the data format, and which can eventually affect the quality assurance of the data. And that means you will end up producing the unreliable data. Offline blind spots, we all know that, especially in a continent like Africa, where we still struggle with internet penetrations, there are some areas that is difficult to transmit data from, where you now have to either be on ground and be there by yourself, collect the data, probably analyze it before you move to the next location. All of this would affect the data collection process. Accountability, how do you even ensure that your field agents on the field are collecting the right thing? How do you even ensure that they're in the right location? How do you ensure that they're collecting the right thing? These are all the problems that we face. Then I think lastly is data delays and errors. And I think in summary of everything we're saying, each of these problems that we face in data collection affects the quality of the data, which leads to unreliable data. Now, based on my experience, we've been able to consolidate all of this into 3 categories, where we have the logistics problem in terms of connecting different locations, especially when you're collecting data in multiple locations. Connecting different locations, that's already an issue. We have the infrastructure problem, that's the tool, and we have the final problem, which is the data accuracy. And each of them are solely dependent on each other. You can, if you have a logistics problem, you definitely have an infrastructure problem and a data accuracy problem, and like the others. Now, to give more context to what this problem is, I'm sorry I'm spending more time, but I want to be able to give context to how this data collection problem is impacting us as a community, as a nation. A 2024 study showed that household survey data in Nigeria shows a lot of variation in the quality. So people are realizing that data that comes from rural or remote areas are already underrepresented and are prone for errors. Same thing in 2025, a data quality rating by World Economic Research actually rated Nigeria's official GDP data as an E, which means extremely poor. Underscoring, which is, I think this is a deep issue in terms of relying on the data that comes out of Africa. This doesn't, or even comes out of Nigeria. This doesn't speak well of any data that, so if, for example, you've done a research and you've published your research and somebody is reading your paper, them seeing this kind of news already reduces their trust on the results that you are portraying in your research. So I think the fact that we have a poor data accessibility in Nigeria already shows is impacting, can have like a long-term impact in terms of the kind of research we put out, the kind of papers we put out. As long as someone can see it from Nigeria and then see that data quality is already ranked as low, it can even affect people's perception of whatever research paper we put out. Then lastly, World Bank warned that Nigeria's statistics system lags behind compared to the countries that are in line with us. So compared to our peer countries, people that have the same type of population, people that have the same kind of systems, we are lagging behind. And I think this just explains that there is a problem. So we've talked about the idea of there's a problem in data collection, in the type of data that we're collecting, and we're now bringing it to reality to show, okay, how is this problem impacting how data that comes out of Nigeria and Africa would be examined. Now, let's get right into it. So based off of all the problems we've talked about, we've been able to come together to put all those problems together and create solutions to each of those problems. So remember, we talked about the problem of logistics, we talked about the problem of infrastructure, and we talked about the problem of the data quality. So now, based off of all those issues, those challenges that exist in data accessibility, we've been able to create a tool to help address all of these issues. And that tool is WeCollect. So we've been able to create WeCollect in such a way that we are able to address all these data collections issues that is affecting the data quality that comes out of Nigeria and Africa. And starting off with that is creating a feature that allows our users to create their survey questions in a customizable and a flexible format where you can create different validation rules. You are not restricted to a particular survey type. You don't need any form of coding experience to create a survey form. You don't need to employ a technical person to create a survey form. Just a drag and drop and enter and submit process. You can easily create your survey forms. Then secure storage. Ensure that the data that is being collected is secured. And I think that cannot be overemphasized in terms of data collection, where you don't want to be collecting very important data sets and it ends up in the wrong hands. So we've created our system to ensure that both on the mobile application and on the cloud storage, we've been able to put a lot of firewalls to ensure that the data is safe. And moving on, one of the ways we are addressing the logistics problem is by creating, is by what we've done. We've created a distributed network of agents across Nigeria, and we're spreading to Ghana. But right now, we have at least a minimum of one agent in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria. And that's kind of helps us solve that logistics problem, because these agents are already trained to use our mobile application to collect data. And based off of that training, they don't necessarily need to travel from community to community to collect data from different areas. Our big picture goal is to have one agent in every community or every locality in Nigeria, and we have a target of Q2 2025 or Q2 2026 to achieve that goal. But us merging the seamlessness of our distributed network of agents into our system kind of helps us to solve the logistics problem, where areas in Nigeria that don't have representation would actually have representation, and you'll be able to collect data from anywhere in Nigeria. Real-time data syncing, simple. Once the data is collected from the device, we are not allowed, we've been able to mitigate that infrastructure problem that mitigates the data movement from the mobile device. And this is for people that are familiar with this, you know that once you collect data, especially when you are collecting data offline, you probably have to collect the data, hold on to the device, ensure that nothing happens to the device, ensure that the device doesn't crash. Then you move from your location to where there's internet before you can now sync that data, before you can now submit the data. But we've created our application in such a way where, whether there's internet or not, you can go ahead to submit your data set and continue with whatever you're doing. And the moment your device gets connected to the internet, it syncs the data immediately and pushes it to the cloud. So we are putting in place structures to solve all problems that people already encounter, especially that in data collection, which has a big ripple effect in the kind of quality, the quality of data that comes out of Nigeria and Africa. Also, moving on, one major thing, and I'm sure this question is on a lot of people's mind, and I can bet that a lot of our questions will come from this, but I'm going to try to explain this, then I'll take people's questions when we get to the end. Data validation. Now, one major thing that I would say is that there's a difference between data validation and quality control. So data validation is basically what happens before the data gets into the system. And we've put in a lot of tools, algorithms and whatnot to be able to ensure the quality of the data that comes out of our system. And to give more context to that, from the data validation side, ensuring that the data that gets into the system is accurate, we've used GIS as a backbone to, first of all, ensure that the data that is being collected is collected from the location where it is supposed to be collected from, and mitigates issues where data that is supposed to be collected from Etiosa local government is coming from Irewole in Osun State. So we have put in place all those checks to ensure that the data comes from the right location, using GIS as our backbone for that. And also, once the data still gets into the system, we've now created, like, using artificial intelligence and machine learning to ensure that the quality of the data that goes through our system. So if, for example, someone collects data from the field and the person submits it, there's a check in place to, first of all, check for inconsistencies and check for outliers. So if, for example, Let me give a typical example. Someone is collecting survey. Someone is doing a survey, and in the survey question, they've asked if what gender the person is, and the person has selected male. And there's another question that says, oh, has the person ever encountered IVF before, or does the person know anything about IVF? The chances of a man knowing about that is very, 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 very low. And even the chances of a man encountering IVF is never, I don't think it's possible. So that already creates a vacuum for errors. So we have our system that goes through all those inconsistency checks to ensure that all those kind of data sets or records don't make it out of the system in terms at the point of export. So we are mitigating all the issues before the data comes out of the system, or in terms of rows and column or points, or regardless of whatever format you're collecting the data in. Then finally, photo and video capture. We are with our mobile application, we've incorporated the options to be able to capture pictures and videos and attach them to whatever data set you're collecting. So, which is like a robust option. So first of all, you're collecting location of where the data has been collected. You can now capture pictures, and you can now add attributes to those data. What else can you ask in terms of data collection? So all of this comes in place and more to be able to solve those three major challenges that we talked about earlier, which is logistics, infrastructure, and data accuracy. Now, since we launched in May of 2024, like I said earlier, we've worked with about 12 organizations, collecting data from over 50 locations across 48 projects. We are just getting started, and I think that is one of the reasons why we are having a chat or a call like this, to be able to let you guys know that this kind of tool exists, and for all your data needs, there is something that is available to help you get through that. Simple. How does it work? The way it works is we've created a data collection requirement form on our website. So if you go to our website, wecollect.tech/request, you would see a simple data collection requirement form. You fill that form, and based off of that, if we need more information, we'll probably reach out to you, and your survey instrument will be created, and that survey instrument will be, depending on the location where you want your data to come from, we deploy it to our field agents, and you get a comprehensive data within 72 hours from anywhere in Nigeria. So you want data from anywhere in Nigeria, because of our distributed network of agents and our tool that already ensures the accuracy of the data, we can assure you of data in 72 hours. What else can you expect from something like that? Moving on, two different case studies you can get if you are collecting primary data. Maybe that's fresh on-ground data directly from respondents, and you want to use WeCollect. We can get primary data for you, and also we can get you secondary data. Secondary data is for example, you already have existing data, you want to make improvement on it, or you want to validate your data sets, or you want to do you want to add an extra layer to whatever you already have. We can also do that for you. Now, just running fast because we're out of time. We have an array of use cases that we've used WeCollect for since we launched, and we're hoping to add more use cases to it. So if you ever find yourself needing any of this list of items, either you're trying to do a supply chain audit, or you're doing infrastructure development mapping, election monitoring, market research, and consumer insights, or maybe you're even doing disease surveillance, we can actually help you implement any of these kind of use cases. I'm going to run through a couple of those use cases that we've done. We worked with an organization to help them validate their the signages on the stores of their customers, and which is what I said, where you already have secondary data, and we're able to help you. We're able to validate something on top of it. In terms of disease surveillance, we we worked with the USAID to help them validate and to collect data on healthcare facilities across Lagos, and also to understand and gather more information about their capabilities to handle infectious diseases, like noting the kind of their staff strengths, the equipment that exists, collecting data on those kind of facilities, and collecting it within a particular short time, because we are helping you solve the problem of where you have to recruit your team, where you have to pick the right technology, and where you have to monitor the team. So we are consolidating all of that problem. We're taking all those tasks away from you, and we're helping you implement it and still getting you your data, your accurate data in time. And finally, for market research or consumer insights, we work with a couple of media reporting agencies, and one of them is Techaba Insights, where we help them to collect data on, just do like a quick survey on the travel habits of corporate professionals in a couple of locations in Nigeria, and we're able to collect that data within a short period of time, regardless of the sample size. So even if you are working with a large sample size, it still does not affect the timing of the data that is being collected. Now, pigging back to, we talked about the problems and the challenges that are faced in data collection in Nigeria. We also talked about the solution, which is WeCollect. We are the solution to that. And now let's look at what the impact would be like. Now, once there is a strong access to data, since if everyone can agree that if everyone can actually access data in Nigeria, what are the opportunities that would exist in terms of in the grand scheme of things? One of it will be better public policy and service delivery, because there will be data about areas, there will be things that drive policy making. And one of the major things that drive policy making is data, in terms of things like when they are doing allocation distribution, which is basically based on the population of different local governments. So that is already data. Data is like the backbone of any form of policy and service delivery. Strong economic growth. Remember, we talked about how a particular organization rated our GDP data E, which is extremely poor. And once we can successfully prove that everyone is accessing data easily and getting the accurate data, we are sure that it will be like an improvement in terms of the economy, because you are aware of your environment, you have the data of your environment, so it's easy to facilitate growth. Food security and agriculture. I'm not going to delve more into this because it's like an entire topic on its own. If you want to learn more about how we are using data for food security, we had a webinar in August where we talked about mitigating the fidelity, how the fidelity of data collection can affect food nutrition and agricultural production. The recording is on our YouTube page. You can check it out. And we had Dr. Messi, who is like the program director for nutrition with IITA. So you can check that out on our YouTube page so that you can get more understanding on that. Then also improved investment attraction. Once you can show the data, because we all say this, everybody says that, oh, Nigeria is ripe for investment, right? Nigeria is this, but how do you show that the country or the continent is ripe for investment when you don't have the data to actually show that? It's not just by putting out words, you must be able to back it up with data. And once there's access to that data, which is what WeCollect is creating, we would be able to now boldly request for those investment that we require. And lastly is innovation and technology adoption. And I'm just going to give I'll just give an insight. For example, with the adoption of AI, and which I agree with a lot, but when it comes to using AI in the Nigerian context, there's still a lot of lacks and there's still a lot of setbacks, and that's majorly because of the access to data about Nigeria, access to data about things that concerns Nigeria. So once we already encounter that issue, it's going to be very difficult to rely on AI to answer some questions when we don't even have the data, because AI is basically an engine or a machine that relies on a lot of data sets. Let me run pretty fast. So what are the next steps? How what are we looking forward to? Well, first of all, I will thank you for being a part of this call. And what are our next steps? Our next steps is, number one, collaboration. We are looking to collaborate with a lot of you in terms of helping you get what you need done faster. So for some of you that are doing grants, that are putting in grants, we can work directly with you as a partner, maybe as a data collection partner, to prove that whatever data that you require for your for whatever you are putting in for is very possible. Then also, if, for example, you're carrying out a research and you need any form of collaboration in terms of maybe existing data, just feel free to reach out to us. We are always ready to help you out in any form of your data needs. We are a team of data experts. So if any form of data need that you have, we are always available to help out. Then, as simple as it is, data collection, you need reliable data that you can trust in time. We are your plug. So feel free to either reach out to me. You can reach out to me personally, or you can just go directly to our website and make a data request, and we will definitely get the data to you as soon as possible. Then also, we are taking feedback. So if you've learned about the product, you've learned about how we're going about this, feel free to reach out to us and let us know what maybe you have a feedback, you feel like we're doing something wrongly, or you feel there's a better way to go about something. We are open to that. Feel free to reach out to us on any issues, or maybe you want to contribute to what we're doing. We have some of our personal projects that we're doing. Like, for example, we are currently doing a diet quality project across Nigeria to measure the quality in people's diets, the quality of people's diet across the country. So we're currently doing that project. We're collecting data, and this is more of a personal internal project that we do sometimes to build foundational data and to help make data set open source. So that's one thing we are doing. And if you want to partner with us, or you have ideas on how we can go about that better, feel free to, or you want to learn more about how we're doing that, feel free to reach out to us. Then finally, stay connected. Feel free, learn more about we put out articles every week talking about giving data stories, talking about the issues like the one we just talked about that how data affects the issues in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, and an other array of topics. So feel free to engage with us on our social media platforms. And for a couple of you that registered using your email addresses, we're going to be connecting with you, sending you updates on how we are faring, how we are progressing. I currently see everyone on this call as a partner, or as a partner. We are all coming together to make data accessible and to increase the reliability of data that comes out of Nigeria and comes out of Africa. So we've come to the end of the presentation. I hope it wasn't too boring, but I will be taking questions. So if you have any question, feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat box, or put them in the comments in the comment chat box. Or if you want to ask your question, you want to pick up the mic to ask your question, you can raise up your hand and I'll give you access to come on stage. All right. We have one person in. All right, that was fast. Okay, when you give access. All right, I've given you access, so you can go ahead to ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well done. Thank you very much for your beautiful, wonderful presentation, and also for this very beautiful solution. I mean, this is very, 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 very much solving a very big problem for researchers like me. And trust me, it's something that I believe will go far. And
thank you.
If you keep recommending this to every other person, I believe that it will before you know it, this will be an household name. But then I have a couple of questions that I penned down while you were doing your presentation. And the first question is about ethical standards. It's about how does your solution align with the ethical standards required for institutions, review boards? You know what I mean is particularly about. Yeah, that's the first question. The second one is, and I remember you mentioned about the fact that some data, you guys have taken some data. We can now use those data. We can now use those data to maybe when we want to research, when we want to do some particular research, we can request some data based on what you guys have taken previously. So now my question is, how does your system comply with data protection regulations that's regarding user content, consent, and data retention? Another one is, how do you inform your respondents about, okay, we are using this, your data we are taking, we're going to use it for, or that we can reuse this data. I know you understand where I'm coming from. Please confirm that you understand. Yes. So it's about the ethics of the use of this data, and what are the mechanisms you use for verifying previously collected data and reuse under their consent? Do they inform them? How long do you even retain the data? So, this is purely ethics here. So, I would love you to respond on this. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And to be honest with you, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it because I probably would have missed out on talking on that. So first things first, ethical standards in terms of our data collection. Number one is, and I think this kind of covers a couple of it, is we have an NDPC license in terms of data collection and data processing that enables us to, that we've shown that the kind of data we're collecting and the way our infrastructure works. So we are licensed by the Nigerian Data Protection Commission to collect data. I think we have the highest form of license for that. So in terms of that, we are registered on that. Then in terms of data consent, so the way we work with previously owned data is, number one is when we collect data for customers like you or for users, we don't share those data sets with anyone else except you give consent to it. And in most cases, since we launched, we're barely 18 months in, we've not shared any data set with anyone. And that's obviously because we are at very early stage. We're trying to ensure that we are building that trust. But obviously, as we progress, as we collect more data for more people, we would obviously, that option would be on the table. So if, for example, you are comfortable, you've collected data with us, you're comfortable with sharing that data with somebody else, we are going to make that option available but for right now, we don't. The only data sets that we make available to people are data sets that we collected by ourselves. So if, like, for example, like the data quality project we're doing, it's an in-house self-funded project, and we can actually give that out or make it open source at some point. But those are the only kind of data sets that we can make accessible. That's data consent. Then in terms of informing the respondents, yes, we do, but we also don't collect personal information from our respondents. Part of the training of our field agents is to communicate what the data is for and how long we are holding the data for and what's the data going to be used for. So we go through that process with them, and once they agree, the interview starts. Then also, in terms of the protection of the data, we don't collect personal information. We collect like basic information, demographic information, and things like that. But we don't collect like people's names, phone numbers, or whatnot. Things that you can tie a particular data set to a particular individual. We don't necessarily do that. We avoid that as much as we can, even though we get some requests to do that, but we try to avoid those kind of data collection because we understand the importance of people's privacy and we don't want to expose it to our customers. And lastly, metrics to check for previously collected data. We are interestingly, or just to put this out there, we are currently building a machine learning algorithm. It should come out with a couple of the tools that we're going to be launching from January. We are building a machine learning algorithm that's based off of all the data we've collected by ourselves, because one thing we also try to do from time to time is to do more of what we call a pulse check. We check the pulses in terms of, okay, what are these demographics saying across the country, and we now keep those data. So in terms of measuring against secondary data, based off of that initial data, we have a machine learning algorithm that will consistently map those data and check. So if, for example, we've collected data in Jega local government in Kebbi, and we said that, okay, the average demography of people in there are between 18 and 25. So if, for example, we have secondary data that shows something different, there's something to compare it against. But aside from that, we do our normal quality checks on any data that comes into our system, and it goes through the same type of checks, but we're hoping to add another layer on top of it, where we are constantly checking past data against current data. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Iremide. Do you have any follow-up or context to that?
Yes, it answers my question. Thank you so very much. It's interesting to find that you are licensed by the NDUPC, and that's safe enough. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other question? Let me pop into the chat. See. Okay, we have one question. The question is cost implication and its breakdown. Very good question. I try to stay away from money conversations, but it looks like we're going to have it here. So in terms of the cost, right now, because we're very early stage, right now we are offering, and I think that offer goes to everyone on this call, we are offering a discount for people that are doing you just want to do a regular survey, you want to interview respondents. We are offering a breakdown of, as simple as it is, 252 naira per respondent, regardless of your sample size. But we advise a minimum of 40 respondents for each location. So if you are collecting data from multiple locations, we advise a minimum of 40 respondents for each locations. But we have a discount price. Maybe by January, we don't know yet when the price will go back to normal. But right now, simple cost implication is, if we are doing a survey, we charge 252 naira per respondent. But if you're doing anything more than that, we can have a conversation on what that would look like. So if, for example, you're doing something more complex, or you're collecting more complex type of data sets, we'll probably need to set up a conversation for that. But on the base layer, you're collecting survey responses, you have a particular survey, you want people to respond to it, you're trying to you're doing a research and you want survey responses for that, simple 252 naira per respondent, and we'll get you your data in 72 hours. Regardless of the sample size. Yeah, let me add that. So even if you have 5,000, 10,000, we'll get you in 72 hours, and they'll be real verifiable data. All right, any more questions? Any more clarifications? Feel free to raise your hands so that I can give you the mic. Let me see. Okay, no questions. All right. We're right on time. But I can still take a couple of questions. If anyone has any question, I can still take like one or two questions. Looks like it was as clear as possible. So we'll be looking forward to you guys, to everyone making this data requests. And if you probably want to collaborate with us, or you want us to collaborate with you on anything you're working on, feel free to reach out to us. This is my email address, orolua@wecollect.tech. Send me an email any time of the day. I'm always available to help out and respond to your request, or to any information that you require. So if for example you forget, or you're watching this recording and you remember a particular question that you have, feel free to reach out to me and I will be able to answer those questions for you in time. But in the meantime, thank you very much for taking our time to attend this call. I hope it was what you expected, and I hope that this would be this would be the beginning of a great time of us working together in terms of helping you get the data that you require to do your research, or partnering with you for any project that you're trying to do, ensuring that you're getting reliable data, and also us pushing the narrative that reliable data has started coming out of Nigeria and Africa, and people can look back, take a look at our researches or at our papers and be confident that the data that comes out of it are accurate. Thank you very much. You guys should enjoy everyone enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be expecting your feedback. Bye.